For the next 30 minutes, we will explore the unexplained. From mysteries beyond our galaxy to ghostly phenomena in our own backyard, we will dive into our psychic abilities and explore everything from conspiracies to the just plain weird. Welcome to 30-odd minutes. If the truth is out there, we will find it. But only by sheer accident.
Hey!
Yeah!
Hey, welcome to 30-odd minutes. It's great to have you guys back. It's good to be here. We missed you. We've landed the mothership right here in the living room, right in front of the TV, because that's where we're most comfortable, quite frankly. Want to say hi to our good friends, our dear family. Sarah and Matt on the couch. How are you guys tonight?
Excellent, Jeff.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to our guest. We met her once. She's awesome.
We met her once. Don't give it away. This is a big build-up.
Secret.
Don't give it up. So, Matt, you doing okay? Things okay? You seem a little frazzled this morning.
Got stuff done.
All right. And Sarah, your car is soon to be in the graveyard?
Gosh, you know what he does before the show? He finds out exactly where your wound is so he can pour salt on it in front of the entire viewing audience.
Both of them.
Yeah, thanks. Golden.
Awesome. Hey, did we get any emails this week? Tweets, Twitters?
Yes, we do. We have a really awesome email. So, it says, hey guys, Odd Duck here. New viewer, but now lifelong viewer. We're so easily won over. I love it. Have you guys thought about having your shows podcast on the Xbox Live Marketplace? They have other web-based series for free already, and I think your show would be an amazing addition. Also, Jeff, love the Doctor Who shirt you wear sometimes. Fantastic. Keep up the great work. The show is the bee's knees. Friends forever, Chris Odduck Davia.
Oh,
love
thank you,
it.
Chris.
He's a true geek.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Okay, we have a very cool, brand new feature to the show tonight. This is so super cool. If you follow us on Twitter, and it's at 30oddminutes.com, you can tweet us live during the show. Check this out. Ready? Bam! Huh?
Oh.
There it is. Oh, someone already tweeted us tonight. So this is live. We're going to pop this up from time to time throughout the show. You have comments, you have questions, you can tweet us live during the show right now, and they'll come up on the screen. We want to get you guys involved. We want to get you interacting. Say what you like, what you don't like, and we'll read it, we'll check it out, and you'll see yourself. How cool is that? Very, very cool feature. So that's cool. You know, when you talk about the paranormal, you're talking about a completely interconnected community. It's become that way. The web, we use social media, we use all kinds of great stuff. This show even, I mean, think about it. We're on the internet, we're on television, we're on all kinds of places, and you can jump in our chat room, of course, at 30oddminutes.com and talk to us there as well. It's so interconnected. We're a part of culture, and that's what I'm so excited about tonight's show. The paranormal really is a part of culture, and it's a part of us in every way since the very beginning of humankind. What has changed over the millennia since people have been around is really the delivery system. Oral traditions turned into books, books turned into radio, and then television broadcasts. And now we have the internet, so things are moving at breakneck speed. It's really the speed that's changed, not so much the actual stories or the profound nature of the experiences. That's still the same. That hasn't changed at all. But something odd happened in recent years. The paranormal became cool. It became trendy. What happened? What's up with that? And the weird became a staple of popular culture. Tonight we're going to explore all of that and why it happened. Our guest is an American Muslim author, a global citizen, and a cultural commentator. She's the editor of GhostVillage.com, and her first book, Paranormal Obsession, America's Fascination with Ghosts and Hauntings, Spooks and Spirits, is a cultural studies discussion regarding the influence of the paranormal reality TV shows in a post-9/11 society. It's now available. Please welcome, live from North Carolina, Deonna Kelli Sayed.
Woo!
Hey.
Hey everybody, how are you doing?
Good, and you?
Oh, I'm fine, but I didn't see Sarah's really great red boots. I was looking for that.
She, for people with foot fetishes, she does sometimes wear boots. And
I wore them for her.
Oh,
so
she does. She wears
you're
them
gonna have
well
to cut back to
too.
me at some point, Eric.
all right, we will get into a whole wardrobe thing, later on for sure. Okay, at one point, Deonna, and somewhat recently, you claimed to be the world's only Muslim ghost hunter. How can you be sure? I mean, what are you going to do when some imam jumps up with like an EMF meter and goes, "Ha! I'm calling you out, Deonna Kelli Sayed. I too am a ghost hunter."
Well, that's not exactly true. I'm not really the only one. I'm one of the few in the U.S., but if you go to the Muslim world, to Africa and Asia and other parts, people are doing this type of research. They may not do it the same way that I do it. They may do it in more of a religious context, but, they're doing the same thing. So I cannot claim to be the only one, unfortunately.
Okay, well, if we kill all the others, you'd be the only one.
Exactly.
But we're not, we're not the violent type. So, but talk about how ghost hunting is embraced or not embraced in the Muslim community. In Christianity, it's certainly divisive. There are churches that say it's the work of the devil. You shouldn't do any of this stuff. And then, gosh, we had a paranormal pastor on a few episodes ago. People that are embracing the paranormal because it is a spiritual discussion. What's kind of the speak for all Muslims, if you will.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's funny because everywhere, around the world, everyone believes in the supernatural in some capacity, and the Muslim world is no exception. Most Muslims accept the concept of the Jinn rather than ghosts necessarily. And, the Quran mentions the Jinn, so everyone's really cool with that, but it's not really kosher, if I can say that, to go and search out the Jinn. So when I'm talking to Muslims, I say, I'm really just doing kind of a scientific inquiry into these type of phenomena because Muslims are okay with science. So it's not necessarily a cool thing to do, but there's two ways to talk about it. You can talk about doing the whole ghost hunting thing, or you can talk about it from a cultural exploration or legend tripping point of view, and which is kind of a safe way to approach it.
Sure. And we will talk more about the Jinn a little bit later. We got some cool video clips and photos, and we will definitely get there. But let's talk, your book opens up, you talk flat out, that there's a line in the sand, September 11th, 2001, and suddenly the whole world is more interested in the paranormal. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's interesting. I think that the idea of paranormal reality TV was floating around the entertainment industry because of the success of Most Haunted in the UK. But then September 11th happened, and from what I discovered in my research, a lot of production companies were a little uneasy to go forward with that type of programming right after September 11th because they felt American society just wasn't ready to talk about death and ghosts so much. But a year or two later, we seem to have crossed some sort of threshold where we were so interested in this. And part of it was a response to 9/11, but we also had, military family and friends going, to other parts of the world, and our own people were dying, very similar to, in some ways, what happened during the Civil War. So people became interested in exploring these topics of what happens after you die and communicating with the dead.
Right. And that's, like you said, a long trend that goes back all the way to the Civil War and the birth of the spiritualist movement, all that fun stuff. Now, you also freely admit in your book, and I applaud you for this, you admit that you got into the paranormal because of the paranormal TV shows, because of shows like Ghost Hunters that came on in 2004, and now there's so many, we couldn't name them all, we only have a half hour. But you admit, you'd never really thought about it, and then what clicked with you when you saw the show?
Yeah, that's a great mystery. You're absolutely right. Like most people, I had experienced things. I mean, a lot of people do, whether they admit it or not. But when I saw Ghost Hunters, I didn't see it until 2007. I was living abroad, and I came back to America for the summer, and I saw Ghost Hunters, and it was like, to me, it was just one of the most amazing things I had ever seen. And I'm not an avid TV viewer at all, especially reality TV. But there was something very appealing about average everyday people going into average everyday homes, basically pulling back the layers of the universe and seeking out answers to these mysterious things, and often the answers were very practical or not paranormal at all. And I thought, that is so cool, I want to do that. And you're right, there's no shame in admitting that this is how I came into the paranormal community. So many people have, and there's no reason to hide that.
Right, and what's happened too over the years is that it's gotten so popular. There's so many TV shows, there's conferences, there's all the various radio and internet shows and things like that. And then we suddenly find people are kind of creating backstory. Not you, as we said. You admitted straight up front, I watch the shows, I get into it. And that's cool. It doesn't matter how you get into it or why. It's something calls to you when you go. But it's when people start inventing backstory. I've been doing this for 27 years. And you say,
yeah.
aren't you 30 years old?
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people, they want to pad their paranormal resumes, but what they don't realize is before the shows, the community was very small. I mean, everyone sort of knew everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to be a little bit careful how much you pad your resume.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I mean, gosh, I remember, I mean, my line in the sand is 1999 when I put up my website, but I remember there was like 4 internet radio shows for the paranormal, and then of course a couple of big ones on terrestrial radio, and 6 or 7 of us did all those shows, and that was it. Now there's so many you can't even do them all. But okay, so at what point do you make the leap from, okay, this sounds cool, I'm going to go do this? Like, how do you make that leap?
Well, I came back to the U.S. after living in the Middle East in 2008, and I think I was ready to, having lived abroad for so long, and this was an election year, and there's a lot of discussion about, this new America and all that, I wanted to take up a hobby after being abroad, and I got involved with the local group, and for me, it was a really cool way to re-engage my American identity after being abroad for so long, and then coming back and getting to really learn the meat of your local history and getting to meet so many people that I would never have met in any other situation. I mean, that's one really amazing aspect of the paranormal community is the variety of people you meet. It helped me in a lot of ways. It really helped me rediscover my American identity, and I'm really, really grateful for that, actually.
Right, very cool. Okay, so talk to us about a place like the USS North Carolina, which you did investigate. There's been 10 deaths aboard the ship. She was retired in 1962. Mm-hmm. Why is it haunted, first of all? What's the story there?
Well, who knows why anything is haunted? I think it's haunted because people want it to be haunted. But the way it started was the night watchmen, all the night watchmen have always had experiences, but it took the current one, Danny Bradshaw, he actually sat down and wrote a little book about it that got the attention. Well, the ship asked the team that I'm on, Haunted North Carolina, to come investigate the ship, and we were the first ones to ever investigate. I wasn't on the team at that point, but Haunted North Carolina was the first one to go in, and they went in several times, and they started to experience these really cool things. And when Ghost Hunters was in its first season, they were reaching out to TAPS families, trying to find locations to film at, because the show had not taken off at that point. And Haunted North Carolina submitted USS Carolina for one option, and they came to film, and it totally changed the way the public responded to this property, which is quite amazing. And the ship seems to be getting haunted in new ways.
Right, and so you talk about this a bit in your book too, but this ship is benefiting from its haunted reputation. Yeah. And so, I mean, and the shows bring in a lot of viewers, a lot of interest. Suddenly, the USS North Carolina is not some local interest thing. It's something that nationwide people talk about. So, I mean, how is the ship benefiting? How have you seen it benefit from all this exposure?
Well, when the original Ghost Hunters episode aired in season 2, it aired in August, which was the end of the summer. So, attendance to the ship was dying down. Kids are going back to school and all that. But a week after it aired, I think they had 400 extra people a week come through the ship, or something like 2,000 extra people came in the first month. And it completely changed the way so many people identify with the ship. They're not coming, a lot of people aren't coming anymore just for the history. They're coming because they want to experience a ghost. They want to have their own personal experience. And when the ship started opening up for paranormal investigations, that has become one of the most lucrative ways for them to raise funds. It is a historic property, and like many historic properties around the country right now, they need funds, and this has become a very beneficial way. It's become the most profitable way for them to raise funds, and it's a really cool place for investigators to go. It's kind of a win-win situation.
Right, and we of course have a picture of that USS Carolina. Very cool place. And one of the things that you said too, like news stories are coming up all the time. Is that a function of reality? Are people truly experiencing that? Or is it just like, hey, we need more ghosts on this ship. Let's recruit because it's bringing in money.
I don't know. I think it's just one big ghostly party. All the Wilmington ghosts are going there to hang out, I guess. I don't know. But, even Danny Bradshaw, who lives on the ship, he says he's now starting to experience new activity, types of activity that he's never experienced before. So it could be that the more stories are told, the more activity becomes apparent, just because people are thinking about it and talking about it and, in a sense, making it haunted.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, we have a question for you from our chat room. Sarah, Matt, what do they want to know?
Yes. Okay. First of all, Deonna, here you go.
Yes, girlfriend, you are working it.
There's a lot of comments going on, and so I just want to kind of summarize it really quick. Basically, they want to know how you see the evolution of how ghost hunting shows have come about. Obviously, they started in a different place. Now they're somewhere else entirely. You know, there's always a lot of talk of it just being purely for entertainment anymore, and the credibility's gone out of it. But then there's some people who are like, no, there really is some truth to this, and you know, there's more history, there's more like breadth behind it, more real meat behind it. So they just want to know what your take is on over the past decade, how that's evolved and how you see that.
Okay, can you summarize that question? I can't hear very well.
No problem. It's just help me again. I was distracted with a technical issue.
Basically, Deonna, they want to know how you would interpret the evolution of ghost hunting shows over time, from the very beginning with like Ghost Hunters up till now. How you see that reflecting like popular culture?
Yeah. So how's it changed since 2004? How does it reflect popular culture?
Well, that's a good question. I think people now, in general, the audiences are more sophisticated. Even if they don't watch the shows on a regular basis, I think people who have caught one or two now know the lingo, they know what to expect, and they're a little bit more sophisticated than they were 7 or 8 years ago. And maybe the expectations are a little bit higher in terms of wanting to get an experience. But at the same time, I think you have, it's human nature to want to be scared and to have this cool ghostly experience. But at the same time, I think there's a larger number of people who are generally interested in learning a little bit more about genuine research, in addition to the entertainment factor. I don't know if that really makes a good TV show or not, but I think you have, two different types of audiences, both more sophisticated than they were 7, 8 years ago.
And I mean, do you think this is science? I mean, is paranormal research science, or is it just kind of like a study in psychology and humanity?
Not what you see on TV. What you see on TV isn't science; it's entertainment, and it should just be enjoyed for what it is. No one needs to take it overly seriously. But there is a science. I mean, parapsychology is certainly a science, and Jeff, you and I know parapsychologists, but that's really not what entertainment culture is about, and that's okay.
Right. Okay. Let's stay domestic for just another minute here, and then we're going to head overseas to the Middle East. Corner's Folly in Kernersville, North Carolina. This is another place. It's been called the strangest house in the world, which is kind of a bold statement. So
it is true.
We have a picture of that too. Why is this the strangest house in the world?
Well, architecturally, it's really strange, but it's one of those places that no one really knew was haunted or so active until we went in and did the investigation. And I did that investigation with SPARS, Southern Paranormal Anomaly and Research Society, not haunted North Carolina. And, oh my goodness, the first investigation yielded so much evidence no one expected. And we did a media campaign around that, and that changed the way local residents responded to the property. Now people come in to experience the ghost, and that was really cool to be part of something from the very beginning, to discover the ghosts and to shape the story. I mean, that's something that's great. A lot of investigators don't have that particular experience.
So this is what's interesting. It's almost like there's a paranormal popularity contest. So you've got this completely unknown property. A local ghost hunting group goes in, finds some stuff, starts putting it up on their websites. Maybe it makes it into a book or two. People talk about it on a show. Then one of the big TV shows comes in and investigates. Suddenly everyone else wants to come in, rent the place out for the night to try to have a ghost experience. And everybody's buzzing about this one property. It's this collective conscious belief in a location. That and that's what's so interesting to me about the paranormal in general, is why do we talk endlessly about some locations, and there's others that are older, maybe even saw more death or whatever, and we don't talk about them at all because they don't have that haunted reputation. It's really interesting. And yet, some make it onto the TV shows, some never do. What
well, the good thing, the really interesting thing about Corner's Folly is it's helping local people re-engage that particular history, and it's always cool when you can go in and have a great experience, but you can also learn a lot about your own regional history, and a lot of people never do. And that's one amazing thing about ghost hunting in general, is it's allowing people to learn more about their own communities in a very positive way.
Okay, let's head overseas to the Middle East because this is very
Yes.
cool. I mean, people don't get to see this much. Here's, of course, the pyramids of Egypt and very cool night vision, courtesy of Dianna. You can check this out. There it is at night. So you know, you're in Egypt. You know, you head over to Egypt. When was this trip?
February 2 years ago.
Okay, and there you are again. So talk to us about, first of all, how is it being an American in Egypt 2 years ago? And then how is it talking about the paranormal in Egypt 2 years ago?
That's interesting. Well, as you can see, I'm dressed a bit more traditionally there. And what's really funny is Egypt had just started a policy of charging foreigners a little bit more to get into the sites, but I totally got the local rate because everyone thought I was Egyptian.
Really?
Yeah, nobody thought I was an American. So, you know, there are some benefits sometimes in being covered. And because I was a Muslim, I got into places that were closed off to the public.
Interesting.
And I think and I got to talk to locals about their experiences, which they may not have been so open to, a Westerner, a non-Muslim Westerner. And I know that you have some footage of that. So this is one case where being a Muslim certainly scored brownie points.
Right. Okay. And so you mentioned very early on about the Jinn, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. So the Jinn, or genie, right? I mean, that's people traditionally understand it, genie of the lamp and all that stuff. The Quran claims that Allah created really three sentient creations: humans, angels, and jinn. And
Yes.
so you actually let's roll this interview. Okay, there's a depiction of the Jinn. Kind of cool, right? That's what mine looks like. Thank you very much.
Your gin looks like mine.
So you interviewed a local who claimed to actually have an experience, an encounter with the Jinn. Let's take a look at this.
He said he was walking that side. He saw
tomb.
red, near the tomb, a red thing, all like flesh, big, huge thing. And then he recited the Quran, and it became like a smoke, disappeared.
زي دخان زي قطنات كده ما فيش
One time.
هنا
that's-
شديد
This is one of the students.
Very cool. Okay, so I know you didn't hear that, but we did. Don't worry. So you've got someone who believes, in his mind, this ghost or whatever he saw is a Jinn.
That's right.
How does this come up often?
Apparently, it does. I mean, throughout the Middle East, people accept that all paranormal events are related to the Jinn. But in Egypt, and we were in the Valley of the Dead, in particular, the Valley of the Nobles at that particular point. People there claim to have activity all the time. They claim to experience the Jinn all the time because in some cases their houses are built above the tombs and the basements are the tombs themselves. And, apparently everybody it seems has a Jinn experience, and this man lives literally 20 feet from the entrance of a tomb, and he claimed to see this Jinn at the tomb's entrance because it's also thought that ancient Egyptians protected the tombs with black magic, and Jinn are thought to be related to black magic.
Very cool. Sarah has something for you from our wonderful Twitters, and chat room. What is it, Sarah?
We do. I'm actually going to let Maddie give
Maddie.
a shot here. With the
Okay.
question. Yeah.
We have a question. They want to know if the Jinn is so prevalent in their society, how they place it in their daily and spiritual lives. Is something to be feared, respected, or avoided, or all of the above?
Did you get that?
I sort of heard it. Most people are really afraid of the Jinn, and a lot of what they believe is based in superstition of folklore. But when you go into a lot of Muslims' homes of people around the world who are Muslim, they'll have certain Quranic verses placed throughout the home, sometimes over the entrances of the doorways, in an effort to protect the Jinn from coming in. So there are some people who simply don't believe, but the majority of Muslims do accept the Jinn are real and have some sort of fear or respect of the Jinn's place. However, the concept is if you are someone who is strong in faith, then there's no reason to be too freaked out about it. But if you do go to Muslims' homes, sometimes you'll see certain Quranic verses placed throughout the house that's supposed to keep Jinn, at bay.
Interesting. So is the Jinn pretty much the Christian equivalent of the demon?
To some degree, but Jinn are thought to have free will, so they can actually be Christian or Muslim or Jewish or whatever religion they want to be. And it's generally assumed that only the naughty Jinn will cause problems for the living.
Interesting, because when you talk to some Christian cultures, especially here in the United States, I found just, through doing ghost research, there's some people that are pretty cool, especially when you talk about like Catholics, right? Because Catholics have angels and God and demons and the devil and saints, and you've got purgatory, which is this kind of in between. So ghosts, like, well, why not? There's so many various shades of gray in the middle. Why not ghosts? Whereas some of the more conservative, Christian sects will say, no, anything you see, it's either good, so it's an angel or from God, or it's bad. There's no neutral. There's no, no kind of, residual haunt or anything like that. And so it's interesting how we as people need to fit everything in our lives into some kind of category. Otherwise, we go insane. And when something's really weird and completely not understood, we often reach to our religion to try to explain it. And so the fact that Jinn can be mischievous or bad or, various religions, it's kind of interesting. It's a catch-all. You can't go wrong with a Jinn, can you?
Yeah, but I think it's really cool that Islam actually, it actually officially recognizes this type of intelligent interdimensional being, and it's really one of the few, I think it may be the only monotheistic religion that actually says yes, it does exist, and they will sometimes talk about it in their sermons. I mean, it's part of the institutional experience of Islam, which is quite interesting.
That is cool. That's I'm all for it. We would like to interview a Jinn. I think that would be kind of a cool show if we can get one. If any of you are out there watching, we would love to have you. Okay, cool. So talk to us about, you sent us some other photos from Egypt. You got to go to some very cool places, and we love to see that. Are you holding an EMF meter in this next picture? Is this, you look like you're holding something up to a statue here. Let's bring up that.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm crawling out of a tube. Okay,
there
oh my God, I'm horribly dressed in that picture. But this, yes, I'm holding up an EMF meter because this is supposed to be a temple where there are Jinn. And this is a goddess of war and darkness. And it's so weird. I actually had a dream of the statue the night before I went, and I had no idea I was going to gain access to this temple because it's not open to the public. So, yeah, that apparently the Jinn attack the guards at this particular temple, and there always has to be 2 guards on duty because of that.
That's so cool. And so you travel abroad with an EMF meter. That's hardcore. Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
Traveling with these things while Muslim is not recommended, by the way.
Did anyone come up and say, what the hell are you doing with an EMF meter?
Yeah, I mean, do not carry K2 through security. Oh, Homeland Security does not like that.
You know what's funny? I've traveled through Providence Airport a ton in Rhode Island, and Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters, that's the airport they go through in their travels. And there was one time where I had my EMF meter in my carry-on, and I just knew before going through security, I'm just taking it out, I'm going to put it in the bin, it's going to look weird, might as well just put it out. And so in Providence, I put it out, and it goes through, and the TSA guy picks it up, looks at me, and goes, "Ghost Hunter?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay." He just put it back in, and off I went.
Perfect.
It was awesome. And then when I was flying, I think I was flying back out of Louisville, it was a big explanation. The guy was like checking it for powder and all this other stuff and running it through all kinds of things. But in Providence, they know. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we know what this is. It's cool. Go ahead." But yeah, so I imagine, especially abroad, where they're probably, are these shows even being shown in Egypt and things like that?
Yeah. Well, maybe on satellite, yeah.
That's cool. And are they popular? Are people catching on?
Well, I heard there is a ghost hunting group in Afghanistan, of all places, with local Afghans actually ghost hunting, and I thought that was amazing. I don't know how that will go down with the Taliban, but that's phenomenal. Really, that is absolutely phenomenal. So, that in a society that is not completely literate, you have people ghost hunting.
Well, but it's so interesting how this has become such a global phenomenon that people are doing it. It's resonating. It's resonated with you just watching a TV show. It's resonating with people. Popular culture is powerful. Think of the clothes we wear. We wear those clothes because we see people wear them in movies and things like that. Popular culture affects everything that we do, and it's very cool. Dianna, we have come just up to the very end. The new book is called Paranormal Obsession. Really cool stuff because it's really, there it is. Look at that shameless plug. It's really more of a cultural look at the paranormal. And that's cool because that's always a part of it. And now that we've gotten so popular, now that we're on TV shows, like 30-odd minutes, thank you very much, it's going global and it's catching on. So thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. It's been fun.
Oh, Thank you. I always wanted to grow up and be on 30 Odd Minutes.
You know, many children grew up with that dream, and we're glad it came true for you. So thank you so much. Until next time, stay odd, folks.
Good night.